And we are following some breaking news that we wanted to let you know about. This coming out of Iran as the Iranian president has rejected direct negotiations with the United States over its nuclear program. The very latest is that Iran's president saying earlier today that the Islamic Republic rejected direct negotiations with the United States over its nuclear program, also offering Tehran's first response to a letter that President Trump sent to the country's supreme leader. The president saying that Iran's response left open the possibility of indirect negotiations with Washington. However, such talks have not made any progress since President Trump, during his first term, unilaterally withdrew America from Tehran's nuclear deal with world powers in 2018. You're taking a live look right here at the White House as we continue to follow this breaking news.
Breaking news coming out today that China says that it is ready for war against the United States of any kind. Let me go ahead and share with you the latest headlines and video footage coming out today, March 5th, 2025. As it says, China issues war warning to the United States. We are ready to fight until the end. And again, you can see this coming out today. Other articles coming out today saying China says that it is ready for any type of war with the United States. Here's another headline. If war is what the United States wants, China's sharp retort to Trump's tariff charge. Donald Trump made strong remarks on reciprocal tariffs during an address to the joint session of Congress. I'm going to be playing for you the video footage. China very unhappy with what they are hearing and the tariffs that are being placed, and they're saying, you want a trade war? You want any type of war? China is ready to combat with the United States. And here's another one. Xi Jinping warns the United States of any type of war as Donald Trump's tariffs hit China. Beijing vows to fight till the end amid escalating trade war. Now, this comes as China is not the only one. We're also hearing tariffs have hit very aggressively from the United States against Mexico and Canada. We literally heard Canada come out and say, we will shut off your electricity coming into the United States from Canada. Canadian Premier, I shared this with you as soon as it had come out 48 hours ago, says that he will cut off the electricity.
The U.S. and Iran are on the brink of a major showdown. What's going on? Let's break it down in 60 seconds. Tensions have skyrocketed after Trump threatened to bomb Iran if a new nuclear deal isn't reached. He said, if we don't make a deal, there will be bombing like you've never seen before. Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader warned they'd deliver a strong blow if attacked. The situation escalated fast. Iran rejected direct negotiations with the U.S., saying they don't trust Washington but might consider indirect talks. In response, the U.S. deployed B-2 bombers to strategic locations, and Iran put its missile forces on high alert. With both sides digging in, the question is, are we heading for diplomacy or disaster? What do you think happens next?
While Washington is unleashing its lethal weapons on the Houthis, the Yemeni group has promised to expand its strikes to block the Israeli navigation and also to attack U.S. warships in the region. Which side will halt its fire first, and will it be the U.S. or will it be the Houthis? Take a look.
The battles are rapidly scaling up in a new war front in West Asia. The U.S. is relentlessly bombing targets held by Yemen's Houthis, even as President Donald Trump pledges to completely annihilate them. The Houthis are not backing down, announcing plans to expand their operations and blockade Israel's navigation systems.
The operations of the armed forces in support of Gaza will not stop, no matter how long the American aggression continues. And these operations, in addition to the blockade of Israeli navigation, will continue until the aggression on Gaza is stopped and the siege on it is lifted.
The deadly battles started last Sunday when the Yemen group said it attacked U.S. aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman and its warships with ballistic missiles and drones. Washington denied the claim. Soon after, the U.S. military unleashed its firepower, missiles screaming into the night sky, and F-A-18 Hornets striking Houthi strongholds in Yemen. The targets included the Hodeidah Governorate on the Red Sea and Sada in the north, claiming several lives.
Iran thought it could have its cake and eat it too. It has relied on the Houthis to wreak havoc in the Red Sea for over a year without getting its own hands dirty. Now, the US has had enough. Iran is about to be hit hard as a massive US B-2 bomber deployment prepares to escalate the conflict in the Middle East. US President Donald Trump told Iran that this was coming. Still, Iran wouldn't stop supporting the Houthis, meaning it now faces one of the most terrifying weapons in the United States Air Force. Trump's warning to Iran came on the back of the first 4 days of US airstrikes conducted against the Houthi militant group in Yemen. That group, which has ties to Iran, believed to extend to training and weapons supply, reignited its attacks against container ships and commercial vessels in the Red Sea on March 12. America's response has been to launch daily airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen, which Trump says are already proving effective. Tremendous damage has been inflicted upon the Houthi barbarians, and watch how it will get progressively worse.
What I have here in my hands is incredibly important. This is something that we all need to understand. Everybody. This affects everyone in the entire world. So don't go away. Let's cut to the chase. What we have here is a very important document. This was written by Li Guangman. He is a former editor at a state-run publication in China. But what's more important is where it has been posted and, of course, the contents of this document. First of all, the title of this document is Meger and Dolgan. I'm not going to sit here and one by one translate it for you. It just means everybody can feel a profound change is coming. Now, where has this been posted? Because this is very important. It has been posted on Xinhua News, which is the official news outlet for the Chinese Communist Party. It is the top most important news outlet of state media in China. It's top tier. It is also being published in the People's Daily newspaper, which goes around the entire country. Everybody reads it. It's almost like mandatory reading in a way. It's everywhere. Everybody has read this document. Everyone in China has read this document. Okay? Now, you have to understand that unlike CNN or, I don't know, Wall Street Journal or whatever, which are private enterprises with their own political leanings and biases and backing, sure, they are, at the end of the day, still, can be considered an opinion. It's a journalist writes something that's an opinion, which is then part of the Wall Street Journal or CNN. It could be a left-leaning opinion, a right-leaning opinion, whatever it is. This is something that has been condoned by the Chinese Communist Party and has been boosted out by the Chinese Communist Party, because you do not allow anything in the Chinese news unless it is condoned by the state. So bear that in mind when we go through what this document says. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start by reading the conclusion of this particular document. I'm calling it a document. It's an article. Some people might try to call it an opinion piece, but it's not an opinion piece, because if it's published out there by the Chinese government in the People's Daily and on Xinhua News, it is something that the Chinese government wants everybody to read and everybody to absorb. All right? So I'm going to read the conclusion of it before we actually get into the meat of what this thing says. So here's the conclusion. China is currently facing an increasingly severe and complex international environment.
The world is worried about a brewing global war. The tensions between China and the United States, in Ukraine, Russia, in Europe, in Israel, the Middle East. What can you say about how we in the 21st century can avoid a global war, avoid an escalation towards more conflict?
World War III breaking news update. I got to make this quick. Oh boy, I told you guys 2 days ago that they were getting ready to nuke Iran. In fact, I think I even used something like this that you're seeing behind me here in the thumbnail, and I can't believe they're actually going to do it. I'm still in disbelief, because here we are. They're getting ready to pull the trigger. Your world is about to change. Now, we have confirmation that a half dozen, possibly 7 of the 20 B-2 stealth bomber fleet is being forward deployed. I repeat, a half dozen stealth bombers being forward deployed to Diego Garcia Air Base, which is south of the Maldives in the Indian Ocean. This is one of 2 very critical U.S. air bases in the Indo-Pacific. And that, of course, is going to put Yemen and Iran in striking distance. Now,
the president had a very firm message for Iran. Listen.
There's no way the Houthis, the Houthis would have the ability to do this kind of thing. unless they had support from Iran. And so this was a message to Iran. Don't keep supporting them, because then you will also be responsible for what they are doing in attacking Navy ships.
Breaking news coming out in the past couple of hours, as we have heard that things have erupted in the Middle East. We are hearing that the United States is preparing for potential conflict, even war with Iran. Warnings are being issued back and forth. And in the past couple of hours as well, we've heard that Israel has broken the ceasefire with Gaza. Attacks are taking place. As we are hearing, the hostages are not being released. A deal has fallen apart. And also there is conflict all throughout the Middle East. We're hearing Iraq, Syria, Iran, all over, Yemen, and the United States is saying the Houthi rebel attacks that have been taking place in the Red Sea. Well, now the United States is striking back and saying the Houthi rebels are funded by Iran, and they will be holding Iran directly accountable for this. And like I said, we're expecting things to escalate. Now, Trump's sights set on Iran after U.S. airstrikes decimate more than 30 Houthi targets. Trump warns Iran will be held responsible for Houthi attacks from Yemen. So the U.S. president has threatened Iran, while the Pentagon vows overwhelming lethal force against the Houthis in Yemen. Iran now threatens back the United States. The Houthi responded by claiming a third attempt.
All right, a little good news, bad news around the Russian missile strike into Ukraine earlier today. Good news, the United States was notified before launch, which reduces the possibility of accidental nuclear war. That's a good thing to avoid, right, for everybody. Bad news, Putin says that Russia has the right now to use these weapons to strike the United States. Russia put out more information about this weapon system just a little bit ago. They're referring to it as the Oreshnik, O-R-E-S-H-N-I-K. They refer to it as a new type of medium-range ballistic missile with hypersonic equipment. They added that this missile is beyond the capabilities of Western air defense systems. I don't know. I'm not an air defense guy. I'll leave that up to HLC. But the range of this weapon system is 5,500 kilometers, so it could strike, quite a few targets all across Europe. And then Putin here chimed in not long ago saying that the reason for this strike, which shouldn't be a surprise, is due to Ukraine using Western weaponry to strike targets deeper inside of Russia. He said that act turned a regional conflict into a conflict with elements of global character. So those weapons turned it from a regional war to a global war in Putin's view. And he said during this same address that Russia now has the right to hit countries whose weapons Ukraine uses to strike Russia.
American aircraft, this is the PLA Air Force. You are approaching Chinese airspace. Keep a safe distance or you'll be intercepted.
PLA fighter aircraft, this is U.S. Navy P-8 on VHF 121.5. I hold you off my left wing and I intend to continue to proceed to the west.
U.S. aircraft, this is Chinese Navy warship. You are approaching me, keep safe distance away from me, over.
I'm a United States military aircraft and I will remain a safe distance from your unit.
I'm warning you again, leave immediately or you will bear forward responsibility for all the consequences.